You watered your raised bed this morning. It's bone dry by afternoon. You're not doing anything wrong. Your bed is built to fail, and today I'm going to show you exactly why, using real science, and then give you the permanent fix that most gardeners never find. I've been gardening for years, and for years I did what every gardening guide told me to do. I built beautiful raised beds. I filled them with that perfect, fluffy, well-draining soil mix everyone recommends. I watered thoroughly every morning, and every single afternoon my plants were wilting. I thought I was failing. I thought I just didn't have the knack for it. But the truth is, nobody had ever explained to me what was actually happening inside and around that bed. Once I understood the physics, everything changed, and it will for you too. So let's start with the real reason this is happening. And it comes down to geometry. Picture your standard 4 by 8 foot raised bed, sitting 12 inches tall. Now think about every surface that's exposed to the open air. You've got the top, but you've also got 4 sides. All of that surface is in direct contact with wind, sun, and moving air. When you add it all up, that bed has 56 square feet of exposed surface area. A flat in-ground bed with the exact same footprint, 32 square feet. That's a 75% increase in exposed surface just by lifting your soil off the ground. And at 2 feet tall, it jumps to 150% more exposure. Every single one of those extra square feet is losing moisture to the air every hour of every day. But it gets worse at the corners. Think about what happens at the corner of your raised bed. That soil isn't just exposed on one side. It's exposed on 2 or 3 sides simultaneously. The sun hits it from multiple angles. The wind pulls moisture from multiple directions at once. Field testing of metal raised beds found that soil right next to the walls was around 8 degrees. Fahrenheit warmer than soil in the center of the same bed on a summer afternoon. 8 degrees. And for every 10-degree rise in soil temperature, evaporative water loss roughly doubles. So your corners and edges aren't just drying out faster, they're drying out dramatically faster. If you've ever noticed your plants struggling most at the edges of your bed, now you know exactly why. And then there's the wind. When your soil sits at ground level, it benefits from something called a stagnant air boundary layer. It's a thin cushion of still air that sits right at the soil surface and slows evaporation naturally. Your raised bed sits above that protective layer entirely. It's fully exposed to every air current from every direction. Research from the University of Debrecen found an exponential relationship between wind speed and evaporation rate. At moderate wind speeds, a shallow watering evaporated in under 5 hours. Your raised bed is sitting up in that wind every single day with no protection whatsoever. Now let's talk about something nobody mentions when they sell you a raised bed kit. Your in-ground garden is connected to something extraordinary. Deep below the surface, water moves upward through the soil against gravity through a process called capillary action. It's the same principle that makes a paper towel absorb water from a glass, and the scale of it is genuinely remarkable. In silt soils, capillary action can pull water upward more than 10 feet from the water table. 10 feet, completely free, completely passive, no pump, no pipe, no electricity, just the physics of water moving through tiny soil pores. Your in-ground plants have access to that entire system. Your raised bed has none of it. The moment you lifted that soil off the ground, you severed the connection completely. And if your bed is sitting on concrete, on gravel, or filled with a light potting mix, that connection is gone entirely. So that's 4 reasons your raised bed is losing moisture faster than you can replace it. More exposed surface area, hotter corners and edges, full wind exposure, and no connection to groundwater. But there's one more, and this one surprises people every time. Your wooden walls are drinking your water. Wood is what scientists call hygroscopic. It absorbs and releases moisture based on the humidity around it. Kiln-dried timber, the kind used in most raised bed construction, arrives at around 12 to 19% moisture content. The point at which wood stops absorbing moisture and becomes saturated is around 25 to 30%. So your dry timber walls are sitting against your wet soil every single day, pulling moisture out of it continuously. Pine sapwood is particularly bad for this. Birch can absorb even more. And while this is a smaller factor than the others we've talked about, it's a constant silent drain that never stops. Now here's something that makes all of this even worse. When your raised bed soil goes through repeated wet and dry cycles, the microbial community inside it takes a serious hit. Research published in Nature Communications found that during drought, more than 90% of beneficial bacterial species stop dividing entirely. Only 4% of the microbial community remains active, and here's the part that really matters. Research published in M Systems found that repeated drying and re-wetting cycles are actually more damaging to soil biology than simply having less water overall. So the boom and bust watering pattern that raised beds force you into, soaking in the morning, bone dry by afternoon, is the single worst possible scenario for your soil life. You're not just losing water. You're degrading the living system that feeds your plants every time it happens. So what do you do about it? Let's go through the fixes, starting with the easiest and cheapest, and working up to the one that solves the problem permanently. The single best thing you can do right now, today, costs almost nothing. Mulch. Half an inch of mulch reduces evaporation by 41%. 3 inches reduces it by 67%. A review of 58 studies found seasonal evaporation reductions ranging from 17 to 79% across different mulch types, and on a 90-degree summer day, organic mulch can lower your soil temperature by more than 10 degrees Celsius compared to bare soil. That temperature reduction alone dramatically slows moisture loss. The best mulches for moisture retention are hemp bedding, which retained 80% of added water in testing, grass clippings at 73%, and straw at around 35%. Go for 2 to 4 inches of depth, any less than an inch, and you can actually make things worse, as thin mulch can wick moisture out rather than holding it in. The next fix is your soil mix. The fluffy, light mix that everyone celebrates in raised beds is part of the problem. That crumbly texture drains beautifully, which is exactly why it dries out so fast. Every 1% increase in soil, organic matter, increases available water holding capacity by around 3.7%. A silt loam with 4% organic matter holds more than twice the water of one with just 1%. Coconut coir holds 8 to 9 times its dry weight in water. Vermiculite holds 3 to 4 times its weight and acts like a tiny sponge throughout your mix. If you're using perlite, be careful. Perlite improves drainage and aeration, but does very little for moisture retention. Too much of it, and you're actively making your drying problem worse. A good moisture retentive mix is roughly 40 to 50% quality compost, 20 to 30% topsoil or loam, 15 to 20% coconut coir, and 5 to 10% vermiculite. Now let's talk about the fix that most gardeners never find. And this is the one that genuinely changes everything. Buried wood. When you bury decomposing wood in the bottom of your raised bed, you're installing what is essentially a permanent underground sponge. Wood at full saturation can hold approximately 42 pounds of water per cubic foot. A single 6-inch diameter, 4-foot log can hold 25 to 35 pounds of water, slowly releasing it as the surrounding soil dries. This is a technique called Hugelkultur, which is a German word meaning mound culture. It's been practiced across Eastern Europe for centuries, and the science behind why it works is straightforward. As the wood decomposes, it becomes increasingly porous. It absorbs water during rain and releases it slowly during dry periods, creating a passive sub-irrigation system built right into your bed. Utah State University Extension found that wood chips incorporated into the top 20 centimeters of soil increased water holding capacity by 50% for 5 years. 5 years of improved moisture retention from one afternoon of work. Here's how to do it. In an existing raised bed, remove the top 12 to 18 inches of soil and set it aside. Place your largest logs and branches at the bottom of the bed. Fill the gaps with smaller branches, twigs, and wood chips. Add a nitrogen-rich layer on top of the wood. Grass clippings, compost, or aged manure all work well here. This is important because fresh wood draws nitrogen from the surrounding soil as it begins to break down, so you want to compensate for that in year 1. Then replace your soil mixed with compost on top, leaving at least 6 inches of clear growing space above the wood. Water the wood layers thoroughly before covering. Then mulch the surface. In year 1, you'll water normally. From year 2 onwards, your watering needs drop dramatically. Experienced practitioners report beds that need no irrigation after the 2nd year, if built with enough depth. The best wood to use is alder, birch, willow, cottonwood, poplar, and apple. These decompose at a good rate and retain high moisture. Avoid black walnut entirely, as it contains a compound called juglone that is toxic to many plants. Avoid cedar and redwood, which are rot-resistant and take decades to break down, and never use pressure-treated timber of any kind. Now let's talk about the ultimate solution, if you want to go one step further. A wicking bed. A wicking bed is a raised bed with a sealed water reservoir built into the base. Water moves upward through the growing medium via capillary action, delivering moisture directly to the root zone exactly when the plant needs it. The Australian Botanic Garden found water savings of up to 50% compared to conventional raised beds. In peak summer heat, you're watering once a week instead of every day. And the good news is that an existing raised bed can be retrofitted into a wicking bed for around $30 to $80 in materials. The maximum wicking depth is around 12 to 16 inches of soil above the reservoir. Beyond that, capillary action can't reliably lift water to the surface. So keep that in mind when planning your bed depth. Let me give you a quick summary of everything we've covered, ranked from easiest to most impactful. Mulching alone cuts evaporation by up to 67%, and you can do it this afternoon. Improving your soil mix with coir and vermiculite gives you a significant long-term improvement. Drip irrigation combined with mulch can reduce water use by up to 75% compared to overhead watering on bare soil. The wood core method gives you years of passive moisture regulation for free, and a wicking bed is the permanent, near-zero maintenance solution. You don't have to do all of these at once. Start with the mulch today. Improve your soil mix next season. Add a wood core when you're ready to go deeper. Each step compounds on the last. The raised bed isn't going anywhere. It's still one of the best ways to grow food at home. Better drainage, better soil control, fewer weeds, earlier springs. All of that is real. But now you understand the one genuine weakness it has. And more importantly, you know exactly how to fix it. If this video helped you finally understand something that's been frustrating you for years, do subscribe. There's plenty more where this came from. I'll catch you next time.